The number one objection isn't an objection. It's an excuse. It's a fear of change. There's literally nothing wrong with our platform. Nothing. But when you say, hey, when do you want to get started? They're so used to doing it the old way. They're so used to doing, oh, well, what are we going to do with resumes? And they're so afraid of changing the current way that they do it that their only objection is, I don't know how to get started, even though it takes minutes to set up our platform. Even though you can get started immediately. It's the most game-changing hiring platform you've ever seen. It's not an objection, it's an excuse, a fear of change. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've been seeing.
Got it. In addition to that, what has been the biggest aha moment you've heard from a client? Like, man, I didn't know it was gonna be this good.
I think the biggest one is, we talk about it's faster, I don't like the word cheaper, it's more affordable, but I think the biggest aha was, we launched a client, I guess it was in the last 6-8 weeks. They had 90% of all their applicants, because they were doing it wrong, they were taking in resumes, and they would say, okay, this person's worth a look, so they take this resume in and they schedule to come into a first interview. They literally had 90% of people not show up. People say that's insane, but in hospitality and other industries, they're running at about probably 40-50% no-show rate. Just your chances of looking at a resume and saying, oh, let's bring this person in for an interview and turning them into a qualified, invested person and give them an offer and they accept it are incredibly low. But using our platform, they had 32 out of 34 people show up for interviews in the first month, which is like, 92%, do the math real quick. And they had 21 offers in the first 4 weeks, which is insane. So that's there's nice to see the proof points that everything we say it does actually works, and this one actually, really worked.
So you've been in staffing, recruiting, you've been working in this space for a long time. Technology comes along. First thing someone says, or thinks, this is gonna replace me. How does Cnect not replace the recruiter?
I think if people were really honest with themselves and honest about the concept of recruiting, they would realize that, and even a recruiter would have to admit this, somewhere, I think it's probably north of 80% of all their tasks in their job are administrative work. If you think about what recruiting is, I guess in my era, I think of Jerry Maguire. Get on the couch, talk to the parents and be like, this is why your kid, why I should represent him. This is why I should represent your kid. I'm gonna do the best for him. I'm gonna find him the best deals, the best brands. I'm gonna negotiate the best contracts. And, recruiting from a company perspective, especially in today's market, is getting a person to come here. I tell our team all the time, if you want me to interview somebody, like sit down and meet with them, I'm not only there to sell them on why they should come work here. I'm there to hype them up and close that deal down. I'm not here to convince them of can they do the X's and O's and all that kind of stuff. So the art of recruiting, which companies need to focus more on, is mired in administrative tasks. So can we streamline and create efficiencies, which yes would lead to less personnel? Of course, it's going to happen. It's going to happen in a multitude of jobs. But the bottom line is we can make recruiters actually be more efficient. Focus on sourcing talent that's not looking for, focus on storytelling, focus on talking about why you want to join our company and be a part of our culture. So look, AI assisted technology, companies are looking at work tech to improve the way they do business. And every single piece of your work tech should give people their time back. It's not time spent and time lapsed, how much time it takes to do stuff. And so when you take a process like hiring and you say, wow, it takes X amount of time, and just the time to fill the job, the time to get the person in, the time to get the offer, the time to train the person, if we could compress all that time down, I think, it's indisputable and undeniable. Hence the first thing I just said, which is now everyone says, wow, the platform's great. This whole process is great, but the fear of change, I don't know, because some of them maybe think, I am going to lose my job. We had a prospect that had an outsourced recruiting department and they just refused to use it. And we know the reason why, because they saw, man, they're not going to need us anymore. But the reality is if you add value, you should be able to show your value. And tools like this make recruiting and recruiters or anyone in talent acquisition way more efficient.